What'd you think when you were first sent the script or you read the book of Deliverance? What'd you think of it, Ned?
Oh, what did I think of it?
Mm-hmm.
I read the book. A fellow I was working with at the Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., Howard Witt, who is the best Uncle Charlie that's ever appeared in Death of a Salesman. Wonderful actor. He's from Chicago. He can't help that. But Howard comes in and he throws this book down on the dressing room. 4 of us shared a room together. Bob Prosky and Richard Bauer and Howard and myself, we shared a dressing room together at the Arena Stage. So he puts this book down in front of me. He says, "Read this." He said, "I got a feeling there's probably a part in there for you." Howard was kind of a tough guy. His father was a Chicago policeman, and he picked up some tough guy things along the way. I read the book and I thought, oh, what a wonderful book. I think all of the actors brought the book to the film more than having that much to do with the script. I didn't see a script until I was already signed up. I had to go a week late to the rehearsal period in Georgia because I was in a play at the Arena Stage and I literally couldn't get out until the run of it was over. So I was a week late getting there, and they had talked about some pretty important things in the week that I wasn't there. But mainly what happened was the actors were so taken with the book that it was hard to deal with the script originally, because the book is so, if you've read it, it's written by a poet, a man who was the, if you will, the same thing as the poet laureate of the United States at one time. He was the poet of the Congressional Library. And the imagery was so incredible that when you would come to a scene, those are the things you would remember. So the first week or so of rehearsal was a lot about the director saying, you know, we can't act that. We can't act that we're there in a tent and an owl comes down and comes to the ridgepole on the tent and puts its talons through and sits on top of our tent in the middle of the night, the first night we spent on the river. And that imagery was like, number one thing about Deliverance, I was the only one in the group of 4 who had ever been in a canoe. I was the only one who had ever held a paddle. I was the only one who even gave a damn about the outdoors. I was a, what was the, who was the wonderful gentleman that gave us eating the wildest, tracking the wild asparagus? Can anybody remember his name? Ewell Gibbons. I was a Ewell Gibbons fan. I went around, first thing I did when we get down to Georgia, the minute I would have any free time and wouldn't be in a scene or I found a guy there who knew anything about the plants in the woods. He was one of the guys who was watching us to make sure we didn't mess up the area anyway by making a film. And I learned more from that guy. He was wonderful. He knew everything about the plants, and his mom had taught him this about, anyway, it was great.
Did you know John Voight and Burt Reynolds before the film?
I never had met John Voight. I had never met Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds somehow and I knew each other immediately. One of the first things I remember Burt talking about, we were sitting on rocks in the middle of the river. We had turned the canoes over about 5 times straight in a row. And we were all sitting on rocks kind of in the sun trying to, you know, overcome our experience we just gone through. And Bert is too much. Bert starts talking about what it felt like to cross the goal line when he made his first touchdown as a halfback on the high school football team in near Jupiter or wherever he went to high school in Florida. And he's going on about what it's like, and he's got the ball. He's just crossed the goal line, and he's taking his step right into the end zone. He's got the ball up in the air like this, and he's smiling because he knows exactly how he should look when his picture goes on the front page of the newspaper the next day. And I'm sitting there on my rock, and I said, yeah, guess what? I was one of the guys who was picking the turf out of his teeth back at the line of scrimmage, who had opened a hole for you so you could get to that damn goal line. So he looks at me, he smiles, and he grins. He said, I know that. So we got to hit. I mean, he loved it when anybody came back at him, especially, and did it funny. He loves to laugh better than any man I've ever known in my life. And one of the things he hated about television, remember when, before we did Deliverance, he mostly did TV series. And he was always playing these cops. And he was always this tough-looking cop guy. And I said, well, what was wrong about that? I mean, man, they were paying you and everything. What the, why did you fuss about that? He said they would never let me smile. I said, oh, come on. He said, no. He said they never would let me smile. And then really would not let me laugh about anything. He loved to laugh. Bert loves to laugh more than he breathed.